Obviously coming off a disappointing loss from this past weekend. We missed a great opportunity, I think, to have a chance to steal one on the road. And, you know, we didn't get it done, obviously, but got a lot to improve on. There were a bunch of positives from the game, some things that we can really coach off of. I'm excited to get back in the Valley. You know, it's our home opener, and we get 7 opportunities a year. You know, we live right here in this stadium. We drive around this campus 365 days a year, and it's special, you know, when you get a chance to see this place come to life. And so I'm excited about getting in the Valley and getting to you know, do what we do with the Clemson faithful this weekend. South Carolina State's got another good team this year. They went on last year and had a really good year, and I think they've got an excellent team put together this year. Really good team. Coach Pugh has done a great job with just the consistency in their performance over the years. Veteran offense, kind of the roles have changed a little bit last year to this year. Last year they had a real veteran defense, had some young guys on offense, and this year they've got a bunch of veterans on offense, and they got a lot of new faces on defense. But offensively, they're confident, first of all. I mean, they're 1-0. They scored a ton of points in the opener, so they're going to bring in a lot of confidence with that. Their quarterback is impressive. He was more their wildcat guy last year, but he's a guy that I think they'll definitely involve and try to create some opportunities for him in the run game. They're very capable of making some throws. Got a bunch of good skill people. Very impressed with their offensive line. They're well coached up front, and they're physical. It's a good group. They've got some really good players. Got a couple guys that we recruited. Defensively, again, a bunch of new faces. Got a new defensive coordinator that came from Louisville. I think been with Coach Strong for a long time, maybe since all the way back when he was at Florida. But you know, they bring a lot of pressure. They're in and out of 3 down, 4 down with their packages, and really do a good job. And very impressed with just, you know, how hard they play. Obviously, we've only got 1 game to watch, but I thought they played extremely hard. So big thing though for us is to really work on Clemson. We've got a lot of improving to do in all areas this week. It is good when you actually have some game film now to coach off of as opposed to practice, and we've got a lot of guys that have to learn and correct and, you know, stay confident, and we got, you know, make sure that the commitment to the overall process of what we do and how we do it is kind of reaffirmed in a few guys. But my objective is to see us get better as a football team this week. I expect that we will. And again, just, you know, everybody learn and correct and be confident. That's what good teams do. You know, all good teams, after a loss, they refocus and they get better. And as I told the team yesterday, you know, the teams that finish in the top echelon of college football are teams that get better from a loss, that grow, that learn. And you know, there was only 1 undefeated team last year, so everybody had a loss or 2 losses or whatever. And if you're going to be a great team, then you have to grow and learn from those things. Now, we could all be 1-0 today and hadn't beat East Community College, and we'd probably have had the same mistakes, you know, but we probably wouldn't grow as much this week from those mistakes. And so I obviously wish we had won the game the other night. I thought we were in position and had our chances, but just too many mistakes against a really good football team at their place. Georgia deserved to win, and Georgia's going to win a bunch of games. But I think Clemson will too, if we improve and mature and grow into what I think we're capable of doing. And this week is a big step toward that. And that's my challenge to the team this week. That's my expectation, is to correct a lot of these mistakes that we saw, things that were very, very correctable. And so looking forward to getting back out on the field. Health-wise, we're in good shape. You know, the worst injury we had was in pregame, and with Sam Cooper. You know, just the craziest thing I've ever seen. And he actually thought somebody had hit him with a football. He thought he'd been hit by something. and but he broke his fibula, and which is the non-weight bearing bone. But he's, we're very encouraged by his prognosis, and I'm happy for him that we're going to get him back, here in the short term. So it's good that we will play this week. Then we'll have an open date. We've got a couple weeks before we play again, so we expect to get Sam Cooper back, hopefully sooner than later. And but other than that, we came through the game pretty good health-wise, and good to get a few of those guys back. They weren't able to play Saturday night. We're glad to have those guys back in the fold as well. With that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, you won pretty handily against SC State last year. Anything you see this time around that perhaps could be a little bit more difficult or challenging when you take them on?
No, I mean, I think, they're a good team. Last year we had some couple scores on defense. You score on defense, that's a big factor in the game. And, I thought that we just kind of got on them early, and really all three phases kind of came together. And when you put all three phases together, when you got a talented group, that's hard to overcome. And that's what we did last year. And, that's what I want to see this year. I want to see us, put all three phases together, all three phases improve, get better in the areas that we need to improve in. As far as, the score, I don't care what the score is. I just want to see our team get better, and I want to see us find a way to win, period, bottom line. But South Carolina State, they'll be excited. It's a great opportunity for them to come. Again, just a few of those guys that we recruited that are really good players, At number 10 on defense, a freshman, Leonard, that's Anthony Waters' little brother. He was a guy that, we probably would have signed 4 or 5 years ago. And he's starting for him as a freshman. He's a really good player. Got a couple of linemen that we recruited. So they got some guys, and they'll come with their A game. But again, it's about us, playing and performing to the standard that we've set.
David and Corey were starters last year. How quickly do you, I don't want to say give them their jobs back, but how quickly can they earn them back?
Oh, well, again, this was just a, they've done nothing to not be, considered two of our best players. They just weren't able to play in that game, but we've prepared and practiced with them all fall camp and all. We prepared for the season, not just one game. So, those guys, we plug them right back in there and get going. We'll see how we do today and tomorrow. Today and tomorrow are critical days for us from a practice standpoint, and making some decisions how we're going to go into the game. But, I love both of those guys' effort and energy last night on the field. Corey they were ready to go. Again, the consequences for your actions, and I don't have any doubt. And those guys have been great since the spring. I mean, they really have. They've been great. They've gone above and beyond. And, I'm just glad we can move on and they can get out there and go play.
Any concern with the kicking game as far as Ammon Lakeup with the miss, or is that an open competition, still his job?
No, it's still his job. I mean, it's one miss. I mean, I wish he'd have made it. He's 0 for 1. If he's 0 for a while, then we got issues. But I'm not going to fire a guy because he's 0 for 1. Obviously, that's his job, and he's got to do that. But we're not to that point right now. Hopefully he'll get better this week. He'll grow his confidence a little bit more, and it was a big kick. It was a big one. And that's one of the things when you're always trying to make that point to your team about how critical special teams is, especially in games like that. Sometimes you can make a lot of mistakes and you're just that much better than the opponent. But when you're playing against a good, very talented team, equally talented team, especially at their play, special teams is a lot of times, it's the difference. It really is 4 or 5 plays. And if we didn't change anything in the game, I mean, because we had enough mistakes to lose 3 times on offense and defense, some critical correctable mistakes. But if you just change the kick return and make that field goal, we're up 7 in the 4th quarter. You don't change anything else. And so that's how important special teams is. And we had a couple young guys on there that we got to coach them. It's unfortunate that you got to sometimes you learn the most from some pain, but that's part of it. There's usually the biggest growth opportunities usually comes from a little pain and suffering and adversity. And so we'll coach from it. I think Ammon is an excellent kicker. I think Ammon is going to. I really think he's going to have a great year. I wish you'd have had a couple more opportunities the other night, but he didn't make that first one. And we'll keep on plugging. He's again just one game and one field goal.
Yeah, but how concerning was it from the tight end standpoint, the way they struggled getting off the line and really just not being a factor for you in the passing game?
I didn't think that our tight ends struggled getting off the line. We didn't really involve them quite as much as we would like to, and a lot of that just got dictated into what we do. The first half, we wanted to run the football, and we pretty much had our way the first half. Really did what we wanted to do. Probably played as good a first half as we've been around in a long time. Execution was great, with the exception of those drops that we had that killed 2 drives. But other than that, we were running it and really liked what we were doing. And so in our JJ got in there and did a nice job, but we weren't really throwing the ball all over the park. And then second half, we played backed up and we didn't have the ball. I mean, that's offense's fault there because there's 3 and out when we did get it. I think we only made 2 first downs, but the whole time of possession completely flipped from first half to second half. And just didn't do a lot in the passing game. But, those guys saying they struggled getting off the line and all that, I don't think that's accurate.
Yesterday, Chad talked a little bit about, integrating young players, first-year players, into a game situation too soon, and perhaps maybe he implied that perhaps maybe it wasn't the perfect situation to give more exposure to some of those first-year guys that you're going to count on as playmakers on offense. Was that pivotal in this game? And were you comfortable with the guys you have in those roles? Because it didn't seem to me like there was anybody you could say, he's on the field, we're going to make a play.
You talking about from the freshmen?
Yeah, and your offensive playmakers.
Oh, well, I don't agree with that. Again, I think just the circumstances of the game in the second half changed drastically, and we had all of a sudden just a rash of mental errors. It was one guy, 2 guys, 1 guy. We very rarely had 11 guys, and they weren't doing anything different. But for whatever reason, and it just affected a lot of things. But field position, backed up behind the chains, whatever it may be. But we got playmakers. You're going against a really, really good team. I think that's a rush to judgment and a little bit of a overreaction. I think we got really good players. As far as our young guys, you're going to see, some more of those guys as we go through. But I think what Chad was saying is we had. That was a different stage, and you got some of these guys, it's their first time to play, and you don't really know how they're going to respond. How was Wayne Gallman going to respond? Wayne Gallman did a nice job for us with what we asked him to do, and he's a guy that you're going to see more of. As he kind of catches his breath. Same thing with Adam Choice. Adam Choice a week or so ago, we're going to redshirt. Now we're trying to get him ready to play. He wasn't quite ready for everything with the amount of pressures and different looks that they presented. He wasn't quite ready for that. But those 2 guys you'll see continue to become factors in the running game. And then those 3 young wideouts. Kyron played a little bit on special teams. But I really loved the look in Damari Kitt and Artavis Scott's eye. I thought they were ready and not overwhelmed with the moment. It was great to see Artavis make a great play, but again, we had kind of limited opportunities in that second half, and you're going to play your best guys, and we've got a good lineup. We got the best guys out there, and we'll keep developing the rest of our roster. But you'll see a lot of guys mature and develop as we go through this year. You can't one game. You can't, judge a season or a whole football team. But I really like the young talent that we have. It's first time Joe Gore's played You know, I mean, he's played and been on the field, but it's been mostly, he's a backup role. He was hurt all last year. So the year before, we threw him in there for about 5 snaps against LSU. So it was good to see him. I mean, because he cares. Joe Gore really cares. And he played a really good first half, didn't play as well second half, fundamentally, technically, assignment-wise, and so forth. But he really, really cares. And I think he will drastically improve. But he's a guy that, like I said, up front that just hadn't played a lot. Jay Guillermo got some good playing time. Thought he did a solid job. He's a guy that's going to really get better. Reed Webster was a big bright spot for us. First time he started, and he's got pretty good experience in his 4 years, but first time he's been in that role, and he really responded. I was very pleased with him. So there was a lot of good things from the game that we can. J.J. McCullough was a bright spot for us. Kind of in flux right before the game, losing Cooper. Big role that Cooper had into that game, and J.J. hadn't had some of those reps, but he jumped in there and really showed more physicality than he had last year. So I was impressed with him. He's earned more opportunity. So it's again, you'd like to have gotten the win to correct all those things because it just feels better because the fun's in the winning. But we're going to improve as a football team drastically from what happened Saturday night.
When you have a big game like that with 2 halves where there was clearly so much good in one half and not so good in the other half, obviously you're going to break down both halves of film, but which one is easier to teach off of, especially for younger guys?
Both. They're critical. I mean, you got to learn from the success, you got to learn from the failure and why. And you got to be honest. And that's yesterday was a long, tough day. Because you're having honest conversations, and everybody needs to know. And my job is to make sure that the offense knows what happened on defense, and that the defense knows what happened on offense, and that they both know what happened on special teams, and that everybody's on the same page, so that we can correct it. That's what getting better is all about. And same thing, the coaching mistakes that we made. I mean, it's everybody. It's accountability by all of us. Ultimately, it's 100% on me, but it's everybody's got to have that accountability and that ownership, and so it's called teaching. That's what we do. We teach. So you teach from everything. You teach from the good. You teach from the bad. You teach from the in between, and then you go practice, and you get better, and you get back out there. Everything in competition is about the next game, man. The next game. The next season, whatever it is. And, when you're a competitor, you want to get back out on the field, and all I know is a win makes things just a little bit better. And then another win makes things a little bit better. But we got 11 more games, and, I don't have any doubt we're going to be a really good football team.
Do you look at these FCS games against FCS teams as a chance to get right? I mean, a really good opportunity to correct those mistakes, get people playing time. I mean, just the last few years, these FCS games have been relatively easy for you.
Well, that's probably why a lot of people schedule these games as the opener. If you look around college football, that's why a lot of people do that. So they can, play a bunch of people, see some guys that haven't played, probably make some of them first game mistakes and maybe can overcome it. Things like that, that's just the way it is. At the end of the day, you got to play them all, no matter when they're on your schedule. You play them, and you live with whatever results you get. But I think it's good for us to play an in-state school like this. I think it's good for a lot of reasons. I think it's good for us to be able to have a home game here and grow our team. And I think it's great for them because they get an opportunity to play on a big stage. And it's great for our state as it keeps the money in the state and it helps them financially. So I think there's a lot of positives from that. And, one of those a year, I think that's good for football. It's good for them. It's good for us. And, don't get many of those opportunities.
How much confidence can be gained from this football game to get the guys believing and get them a win, and for what's going to happen in the next contest when they get on to Tallahassee? It's important to get them seeing things happen.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, just cleaning up the execution, you know, from an assignment standpoint, getting 11 guys consistently on the same pace so we can see what we can do, because it makes a difference. You know, when you got 11 instead of 9 or 10. It makes a big difference. And just correcting some of the mistakes. At the end of the day, it's about the little things. The game the other night is about the little things. It's about the little things. We've been talking a lot about that. I mean, it's stance, it's footwork, it's pad level, it's hand placement, it's alignment, it's your eyes. You know, it's hat and hand shedding blockers. It's catching the football. You know, it's little things. It's taking on a wedge. It's not the big things. It's just little things. And so you want to see your team improve in a game like this, and that's what we're looking forward toward.
Dabo, what's the evaluation of the linebackers as far as gap control and some of that?
For 3 quarters, did a great job. I mean, really did. And, you know, the thing we've got to do defensively is create the mentality that it don't matter where the ball is or what the offense is doing. I mean, we won the national championship in 1992, and, you know, we had a bunch of 3-and-outs. We had a bunch of them. But them old boys, they were just fired up to go play defense again. They couldn't get out there fast enough. And that's a mentality that I think that I want to see us establish defensively. And I think defensively we got a little bit pouty the other night because they worried about what the offense is doing. Don't matter what the offense is doing. Go play. Ball's on the 5-yard line or the -5. It don't matter. Our job's to get stops. And, you know, offensively, we had probably our best offensive play of the game the other night, 60-yard punt. That's an offensive play, 60 yards. We were backed up the whole entire third quarter, and we finally flipped the field. You know, and instead of going out there and getting a stop and winning the game on defense, you know, we go up 82-yard drive, most of it on 2 plays. And I think a lot of that was mentality, attitude. You know, we kind of faded a little bit in that regard from, I think, frustration, the moment, whatever it may be. And so that's where we got to grow, because we're going to be in those situations again. And I think we have really good people on defense. I think we got great talent, and I think we got good people that care on our defense. And so I expect us to drastically improve and learn from what happened the other night. As far as the backers, I thought Tony Stewart played outstanding. He played a heck of a ball game. He had a couple of times where he missed the spill, and he was very disappointed in that. But we ain't got a guy. He also led our team in tackles on special teams. Had 4 tackles on special teams, and was the first one down. You know, played a ton of snaps on defense. I mean, there's a guy that greatly appreciates his opportunities, trying to make the most of it. He played a good game. Stephon didn't have his best game. He cares, and I expect him to bounce back and play better. I thought B.J. Goodson did a solid job. You know, his particular job, wasn't necessarily set up to make a lot of plays, but he did his job, and I thought played well.
Do you think it's easier to perhaps avoid any distraction because Florida State's 2 weeks away, I guess, after this week, so you have the bye week in between, so the guys don't really have to overlook or think about what's ahead because they'll have that bye week in preparation. They can just really dial in the task at hand and not worry about such a big game looming a few weeks from now.
They better get dialed in or they'll get beat this week. I mean, ain't nobody around here talking about Florida State. Y'all might be, but we're not. They're going to get dialed in. They lose this week. We don't correct some of the mistakes, we'll get beat this week. This is a team that, I mean, they're not going to come in here because they're playing Clemson and say, all right, give me a check and we'll head on home. It don't work that way. You got to earn it. You have to deserve it. And I want to see our football team earn and deserve to win. I don't care who we play. Every game is huge. It always cracks me up when we try to create the mentality that one game's bigger than the other. They're all big. They're all big. If you don't believe that, just come stand behind this podium and lose one of them. You can realize how quick, just how big they all are. They're all big. You know, we all want to win. So that's not even that's not even remotely in our mind. We better focus 100% on South Carolina State. That's what we're going to do. And then we'll move on to the next one. If the next one's Florida State, then that's who it is. When that one's over, we'll move on to the next one. And we'll see where we are at the end of the year. But we got to have the right mentality. You know, the season starts today for this football team.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you had a chance to follow at all what happened with the NFL cuts over the weekend, but there were a couple of Clemson guys that got named to 53-man rosters on Saturday, and then they were cut on Sunday. And then not without a chance to get picked up. And then Taj was waiting around trying to, you know, hoping that he would get picked up by a practice squad. And it seems like structurally there's just, that's a tough deal because there's no place for those to go. I mean, other sports have, you know, you slide down to the next level, you play a year and you get ready. I mean, is there, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean,
it's hard. It's hard. Listen, that's why, and I tell our guys all the time, you know, don't buy the lie, man. I mean, it's only 6.5% of high school players play college football. 6.5%. And only 1.67% of college players play in the NFL. 1.67%. It's hard. There's a lot, and there's a bunch of them. I mean, all these guys that were cut this weekend, they're all pros. They're all pro players. If they were in a camp, they're a pro player. They're good enough to be pro players, but you know, there's a lot of different reasons. You know, guys can play till they're 40 if they want, if they're good enough. You know, finances, business. Okay, you know, you don't think Chris Clemons is good enough to play? They're going to give him $2.8 million to play for the Texans. He played 5 years for the Dolphins. Going to pay him $2.8 million, give you $500,000 guaranteed to come play. Well, all of a sudden, maybe, I don't know, maybe they make a business decision of, hey, let's just write him that $400,000, $500,000, and then let's take this rookie for $500,000. Well, we've saved $1.8 million. That's a business decision that gets made based on production and performance and all that kind of stuff. It's just it's a whole different deal. You know, that's why I love about college football. I'm going to get my guys for 4 and 5 years, and you get to develop relationships and grow them and, you know, and all that, and for life. That's what I love about college football. Pro football is different. It's truly a business. And, you know, you got guys that made it on the 53 on Saturday, and then all of a sudden them guys sitting around the table, they go, oh, well, such and such got cut from front. Now, he's done been through all camp. He's made the team. Now, this guy got cut from some team over here. Well, we must bring that guy in, you know, and that's just part of it. That's why guys better get that education, you know. That's because that education is ultimately what they all have to fall back on. You play as long as you can. You know, we got several guys that are in flux right now that are going to be on teams, and that I think are end up eventually being good players, but and getting opportunity. But it's hard. It's very, very, very difficult. Timing, health, roster, who's on the roster already. There's a lot of you know, circumstances that go into it, and got to get a little lucky too.
Coach, they have on SC State a couple preseason All-Americans. They got some experience on that defensive line. What type of challenge do you think they might present to you, knowing that's a pretty experienced front four you're going to go against?
Yeah, they are. They've got 3 starters back in the defensive line, and one of the starters got beat out, but that number 97 is a big old man now. He's a full-grown man. That quarterback from Benedict, he took some shots last week. He's got my respect. I'll promise you that. But we got to do a good job, and the biggest thing is you know, getting them identified. They do it. They've got a nice package. Like I said, getting into their 3-down and their 4-down stuff, and then the pressures that they mix with it. You know, whether you're in a 3x1 or 2x2 or where your back is, whatever. They do a nice job. They do a good job disguising things, bringing safeties, bringing corners. So we have to really be dialed in and have everybody on the same page. So it's a good challenge for us. Nothing that we haven't seen or practiced against, but it's not easy. I mean, if you don't have everybody dialed in, you're getting hit with the amount of movement and the amount of people that they will mix and match in the pressures.
Anything else?